I've asked people, like, there's a band playing 2 nights. You can only go to one night. It's your favorite band. One night is just a regular, you can go in and watch them. The second night, though, there's a curtain in front of them. You can't see them. And, of course, everybody's like, oh, I want to go where I can see the band, right? So there's an admission by everyone that there is a visual aspect to live performances or to what, like, a band is. I think it's good to put some thought into that, even if it's just we don't look like we just got done cutting grass, or you know what I mean, or like, or maybe that's your vibe, and maybe that works for what you're doing. But like, just some sort of like, we're on stage. We should look like we're having fun, or not, or we should look like we're the most depressed people all in black or whatever. Just some amount of like thinking about what the visual aspect for this thing should be. Right. I think some people almost think that like effort starts to erode authenticity, and I very much dislike that like train of thought.
Hey, my name is Josh. I've loved indie rock for most of my life, and I play guitar in an indie rock band. But I'm also a psychologist, and I think a lot about the intersection of music and the human psyche and social experience. And I'm especially curious about the ways that music can help us find a sense of community and belonging with others, even for those punks and misfits who might rarely find it elsewhere. In this podcast, I'm joined by my lovely wife and bandmate Julia.
Hi!
We have conversations with other musicians and artists about the music we love, the music we make, and the importance of music as a means of connecting with others. This is indeed an indie rock podcast about the music that binds us. Hey everyone, I'm Josh.
And I'm Julia.
Today we're going to be talking to Mr. Matt F. Basler. So Matt is the front man of an eponymous rock project called Matt F. Basler. They're from St. Louis, Missouri. Before we jump into the conversation, we're going to play a clip for you from the song Waste of Time. So here is Waste of Time.
It's a waste of time. It's a waste of feeling fine. A machine that's failing by design. Keep my grip on sand. Keep my head above demand. Watch the birds fly from the bush.
Hey Matt, how you doing?
Great. Doing well.
Us too. Like to hear that. So we just played a clip of the song Waste of Time. So that was actually the first song that I heard of yours. Quite like it. Anything you can kind of just tell us about that song in particular?
Oh gosh, oh geez. It is about getting divorced, so I don't know if that's a fun way to start a podcast. I don't know if that's
Now I need to know more. So,
Well-
like, yeah.
So divorce song called Waste of Time. I mean, that sounds
I guess that
pretty.
that the prior experience leading up to that has potentially been a waste of time. But right, I don't want to set the bar at this like depressing thing, and now everyone's going like, oh, this sad sack of, and do I say shit here, or do we not say that here?
Oh, I would be offended if you didn't say shit.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, they're thinking, oh, this sad sack of shit with his crybaby music. I don't, or maybe because different podcasts have different vibes. Maybe it's a bunch of sad sacks of shit tuning in to go, oh hell yeah, this is my kind of jam right here.
Yeah, hopefully there's at least,
Hopefully we have
at
a
least,
variety.
yeah, at
I'm
least
here to
20 to
serve
30
the
sad
pod.
sacks of shit ready to listen to this podcast.
In that case, yeah, man, it's just been a really painful time in my life, going through a divorce. and just the feelings that come along with that. And I tried to not really focus on just one direction. I tried to focus on all kinds of boy bands. No, but
I was
I
wondering
try-
if you were going there.
I tried to focus on just like how sometimes it can seem liberating to get out of a relationship, but other times it feels devastating at the same time, and so sort of just all about the conflicting feelings you have at those times.
I was like I was gonna like put like an NPR voice and ask a follow-up question, but I just couldn't think of what the follow-up question would be. I was like, oh, so tell us, during that process, did you find it healing? Or I don't know.
No, that's it. That's it. Why the preamble? You nailed it.
I was, the preamble was me thinking about it. So, okay. Anyway.
Well, and I'll tell you, when I was, I had a bike wreck when I was 7, and I got burns from sliding on pavement. This is a true thing. And to get those wounds to heal correctly, they would scrub them like every couple days. I'd have to go in and get my burns scrubbed. And sometimes that's what music is like. You gotta open up the wound to heal.
I rode my rollerblades like with it, and the brakes were gone. And this was like a few years ago, so I was, still well into my 30s. Like it was, I was not 7, I was well into my 30s, and I got gravel in my skin, and then the wound closed, and there was still gravel in there, so I had to open it up and get the gravel out. So
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta, and then you gotta take the thing and like.
That's what this song is.
Yeah.
Getting the gravel out.
Yeah, sometimes there's literally a rock in your body, and you have to rip your skin open to take the rocks out.
Yeah.
It's just-
Yep. That's the truth.
And then the rock rolls out of your body, and that's why they call it rock and roll.
I think that's right. I think that's true. Yeah.
I think this is going to be a fun conversation. Within the span of a few minutes, we've called everyone who's listening to this a sad sack of shit. We've talked about rock-stained bodies. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So we're off to a good start.
Yeah. I can't believe I'm being so open and honest for once. It feels good.
It's liberating, right?
I guess when you're talking to the right people, you open up. You don't even know you're doing it.
Yeah, man.
Precisely.
Yeah. Kindred spirits.
For sure.
Glad that I got my rosé bottle. This will be.
Ooh, and I'm over here with a Diet Sam's Cola.
Oh, okay. I mean, Josh,
Josh, what you got?
I have. I'm living wild. I have some unsweetened iced tea and a little bit of lemonade.
Ooh, that's like a Arnie Palmer.
Well, so I feel like I know a lot about Waste of Time now.
Do you ever think about it? Because I think I'll hear bands on podcasts and people are like asking them essentially like, "Are you guys good?" And then the band's going, "Oh yeah, we're good." And I'm supposed to be going, interesting. Okay, I guess this is a good band.
Yeah, it's like I'll trust you on that. Yeah.
Or sometimes they'll be like, "What do you guys sound like?" And they'll say, "We're kind of like a mix between," and then they'll say like 2 of my favorite bands. And I never go, "Wow, I have to check that out." I go, "Bullshit. There's no way." And then, maybe I go check it out and I go, "Okay, I guess all right, maybe they were right." But so I assume I guess it works, but
Yeah.
I don't know, there's something about someone saying how good they are that turns
Oh yeah,
me off.
it's very uncomfortable to give. I mean, it's very uncomfortable to be put in the position to like have to say that about your own
Which
band
is
or
not their
music.
fault. I
Sure.
should say I don't think these bands are like dumb. I do it all the time.
Yeah, yeah. But it's also uncomfortable to the point you're making, I think, which is like it's a little uncomfortable to listen to too. I think it's just tricky to like describe sound in words, like
Yes.
it's just like music is hard to describe. Like I read music reviews sometimes, even for albums I like or reviews I like, and I'm always just like, I have no better sense of whether I will like this song or album or not than when I started, because it just means nothing to me unless I could hear the thing.
For sure. So
Yes.
words are useless, and what are we even doing here?
I know we should just go back to grunts and hand signals.
Yeah.
In my opinion, right?
That's
like,
the thing. I think a very interesting thing that bands do and that I've done is you'll say like, "Hey, this is a new one," and you look out in the audience and you go, I've never seen any of these people. None of these people have heard any of our songs. So are you saying like, hey, this one's not as well rehearsed, so
Yeah. So set
take
the
it
bar even
easy
lower.
on us if this sucks?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. We're playing some little dive bar in whatever city. You go up there, like, oh, hey guys, now get excited because this next song you've also never heard is newer than those 4 other songs you've never heard before this.
Right. And it'll be even sloppier because we haven't rehearsed it as much.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the one we were talking about in the van on the way over here, going like, Brad, listen, man, the break is the second time, okay? Like, don't play through it.
I love it. Yeah, I do. I'm going to throw a different question out at you here. So you're an individual whose name I
Yes.
assume
Oh.
is Matt F. Basler. But you're also performing with the name Matt F. Basler, but there are other people that also play
Yes.
music under this guise. Are you a band called Matt F. Basler, or are you a performer named Matt F. Basler that happens to have other musicians playing with you?
So you know how Alice Cooper was a band, and then a fella left the band, and then he said, actually, I'm Alice Cooper. Actually, that's me. It's not like that though, but it is. I think when we so yes, there's a bit of a Santana, a bit of a Bon Jovi that it's a band,
Yeah.
but I started doing whatever solo. I mean, I never wanted to do like shows by myself. That was never. I always wanted to have a band, and then it was me and Dylan who's in the band, and we were like having a different drummer and bass player for almost every show. I was playing drums in a band, Middle Class Fashion. I still play drums in Middle Class Fashion, and it was kind of that thing where Dylan plays drums as well, and I'm looking at this group of people that I'm with all the time, and I said, hey man, just one little rotation, one little click of people to different things, we got a whole band. So then I just locked in with those people, and I guess I could have said it's a band. I guess I could have said that. That could have been what I said. It's a band. I guess feels a little easier when it's your name, right? Like they can be very involved, or if I do something stupid, they can go, hey man, I mean, it's his thing. I play guitar at some shows. I don't really, when I'm making a video where I'm shooting coffee out of my nipples or whatever, which is, you can go look at that. They can just disavow any of that. And I think that's a nice position for them.
Okay, so we had another question because, like, you have like some of the art that you use and stuff, and there's like limbs and like all sorts of things. And I haven't seen the coffee out of nipples thing, but I also have like a really weird sense of humor, and Josh won't let me like use it in the context of the band, which is really disappointing. But
Change it to Julia. Just change it to your name, and then you're allowed to do whatever you want.
If the band was just called Julia, I would just be like, oh, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So do tell about that, like the coffee out of nipples, the multiple limbs, and just like the general idea and vibe behind all of that.
Well, so coming up as the internet became a thing, I had a very like utopian idea of where the internet might go. I thought there's so many ideas that all the good ideas will rise to the top because everyone can see every idea. Certainly we won't isolate into echo chambers or invent algorithms that will force us there. And another thing that did make me excited, I feel like, okay, so like Black Sabbath, right? I feel like they kind of had to be like Black Sabbath all the time, like one vibe, and that you sort of had to Ozzy Osbourne had to pretend that like I eat animal heads on, that's me. I'm that guy. And I thought like, well, the internet, we're seeing so much more of people will understand that everyone's a multifaceted person, right? So you could put out like a sad song and then you could make your nipples really big. and I don't know if that's true or not. I do feel like, so we have records. We have like a very like Teenage Fan Club Guided by Voices power pop sort of EP, and then the next thing we put out was synth covers of modern country songs about beating people up. And then the thing we put out after that was we for April Fools, I changed all my stuff to being a country artist for a month, and it was like an apology for the synth record that I made a mockery of country. So we're gonna apologize and make an album of country originals, and they're all very sincere, which has made like marketing like what we are really difficult. And my dream of like everyone will know people do different things seems to be not true. But the synth record happened because I found an app called TikTok. Maybe you're familiar.
I've heard.
Yeah,
I've heard
like small
little
thing,
bit,
right?
yeah.
Like hasn't really taken off.
So, yeah. So like 2019, 2020 or whatever, when it was really popping off, I was like, oh, I want to check this out. And scrolling through and kind of being like, I don't really like get it. I don't get why you would want to watch somebody like lip sync a song. I don't understand. And then one of the things I saw was this very like, down home country guy, very, very like handsome man, strong dude. And he was lip syncing to the song Read Me My Rights by Brantley Gilbert. And the video like starts, he's kind of away from the camera by a truck or something, and he starts walking toward it. It's a song about like beating people up if they are bad to a woman, or which, hey, okay, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna beat a person up, I guess that's one of the good reasons. But I was just thinking about how funny that is to me, that this tough like being like, I'm gonna beat you up. But right before that, he was like propping his phone up on a chair and setting a timer and and then running back real quick while the timer counts down and getting ready to be tough. And that was, I thought, very funny. So I'm not a tough guy. Currently, I'm wearing a cardigan. I'm a cardigan guy, So I thought it would be funny to just do what he did, but as me. And I did, and TikTok is still very good at the dopamine of like your first video can get thousands of views, which aren't like, I mean, if you like YouTube video or a podcast episode with thousands of listens and views would maybe mean something. On TikTok, it kind of doesn't. I mean, you're scrolling through so fast, but it feels like it does, and it really makes you go, I like those numbers getting bigger. I want to do it again, and I thought it would be funny to just do the exact same thing. I did it again. I did the exact same song, same everything, pretty much. And so then I just started doing that song. It's the only song I would do. This is a long, man, I'm sorry. This is really...
No, keep going.
You have to finish now.
Yeah.
So I kept doing the song, and it was really, to me, a very funny mix of people like talking about how weak I am and how you couldn't beat up anybody, and like in wanting to fight me, like, if you think you're so tough, come to where I live, and just absurd, insane stuff. But then other people were starting to like it, right? Like think it's funny, and we were touring. Not a ton. It's mainly Midwest stuff, but I would like be by landmarks in other cities, and people thought that was funny. So then the song got copyright claimed or whatever, and the song came down, so all my videos came down. And I kind of went like, I guess that's it. I guess that's the end of it. And then there was a pandemic, and then I got bored. I don't know if you guys got bored during that thing at all when you couldn't do anything. And I was like, well, I could just cover the song. I could record my own version of the song. So I did like a pretty straight, like, record it like the guy. And then I thought it would be funny to do other versions, right? So I did like a synth version. I did a punk rock and like a more, modern country is barely country. So I did like a very country version of it. So things started to get a little weirder. And I use After Effects. I do like motion graphics and editing and things like that. And I got to where it's like, I want to get better at motion tracking, right? Like you change a sign on a wall as a camera pans across, make it say something different. And I was like, well, what do I practice on? What could I motion track? And I'm sure you guys know, it's like when you want to, hey, let's make a podcast, but we'll do a test one. You don't want to go out and buy microphones. You just like record it on your phone or something to see if it works. So I didn't want to like, what are these? What am I going to use for trackers, like marks or whatever? And what if it doesn't work? And so I looking around and said, what do I have just around that? It's like 2 points on something that I could track. And it turns out every human has 2 points on their body that you can use to practice motion tracking, and it's your nipples. And so I started tracking my nipples and be like, well, I could attach something to the tracking points, or I could make them bigger, or I could make them fall off, or there's one where I flick the nipple off and then catch it in my mouth. I never in a million years thought people would think that I actually have heart-shaped nipples or 30-foot arms, but there will be people in every video that are like, what's wrong with you? How did you get like this?
And you're sure they're talking about the nipples and the arms and not like your mind?
I am. Actually, every once so. An unfortunate thing I have realized about the world is that the ones. Okay, so I've made a couple where I have extremely long limbs that are like just draped over stuff. And those do okay, and there are cool people that are like, this is it's just a neat thing to look at. But the videos that always do the best, and again, this was never my intention, are the ones where they think I am truly just an unfortunate-looking man. And it's just horrible, rude people being like, dude, put a shirt on. No one wants to see that. Like, and which also has made me... it's really changed. Like, so when I upload a new song or something and someone's like, this sucks, it's really given me a different perspective. Because, right, like, they're not... I mean, if I uploaded a picture of me and someone was like, you're an ugly guy, that would be hurtful. But when they're like, your nipples are too big, you should die, that's not really me, right? Like, that's not a real thing. And so I've come to this realization after just thousands of really mean comments that there's something like wrong with these people. they're just mean people.
I'm just like imagining though that you're kind of reading through these really mean comments and it's just like, can a dude post like altered pictures of his nipples on the internet without being told to kill himself? Like, you people are demented.
It is true. It's true. And so, I mean, can you imagine, like, think of a poor guy who has giant nipples reading these comments? Like, that would be a really awful thing. I think I have made them because, well, and I do try to think about, like, I don't want to do a thing that, like, I don't think any of my videos look like they could be a real person at all. Like, I have some sensitivity to, like, I don't want to make myself look like a person who, you know where I'm trying to get. I can't
you're not
think
trying
of
to
another...
body shame other people who might actually
exactly. It is all my body being funny. Like, I wouldn't try to make myself look whatever, like 80 pounds heavier and be like, oh, look, guys, can you believe this?
Right.
So I don't know. The world's a wild place, and the vitriol of some people, and I will say, and again, this is not really to say there's anything wrong with the way sometimes people will look, but obviously when someone is saying you're an ugly guy because you got a large belly button, and you'll go look at him, and I can tell you, I think anybody would rather look like me with large nipples than some of these people in there. And it's, hey, I'm just a guy. I'm a normal guy. Like, I'm not like saying like I'm some Adonis or something, but like there will be these very unfortunate looking people just taking their opportunity to be like, it's finally you're uglier than I am, or that's how it feels.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and I think I'm sure you've heard of like incels and right, like that whole movement and everything. Like, I think
The subreddit I'm subscribed to, yeah, of course.
I knew you were going to go.
So you know it well.
Where I moderate, yeah, of course I do.
It is interesting though that like what you're saying is like those videos that people like. There are some people who think that it is real and a real depiction of you. Those ones do tend to get the more
Yeah.
engagement, probably because they're like looking for
Yes.
opportunities to demean others and find someone to punch down on, basically.
And it is, and I get the TikTok is to a point where like I will get some amount of money. I mean, not a ton, but then it does put me in a weird headspace of like I'll spend a ton of time on this one where I like barf mayonnaise onto a sandwich and eat it. And it it didn't do very well. And I think it's because like I talk, it's a little too long before it happens. You know what I mean? Like people are just scrolling immediately away if it's not a thing. And then I'll go, oh, my views are down. I should just do a stock big nipple video. And even with something as silly as this, it's like, oh, man, that's not how I want to think about anything, right? That like I'm just doing it to get the algorithm working for me again or whatever. Or that I'm trying to like cultivate or generate hate comments to benefit myself or something. Like that's not an environment that I want any part of. But the thought will pop up from time to time that's like, if I could just get people pissed at me, I might make $50 off of this bad boy.
Well, and that's what the system is like it's fairly well documented, I think, by this point, that like hate and anger and frustration and disagreement and whatever, like that stuff is easily monetized, and like that, those are basically proxies for like engagement. Like engagement sounds nicer than like, oh, I'm gonna piss people off or like say something really controversial, so they're gonna tell me to kill myself. But like that is ostensibly what it's trying to capitalize on.
And then all of this too, since I quit just doing Brantley Gilbert's song over and over. I did that for 5 years exactly. Like at 5 years, I was like, hey, I'm getting a lot of views here. Maybe I should show people my own songs.
Right.
And so I started doing my stuff. And it's interesting to see, you'll get a video that has like literally millions of views, which again, that's on TikTok. That does not have the weight of like a YouTube video with millions of views or something like that. But millions of people saw this video where you're playing your song, right? And you think, oh, baby, if I get 10% of this, oh, man. And then you go check your Spotify stats and it's nothing, has not moved at all. And right till it's such a weird thing to like, I don't know. I don't know how to like funnel people into different ecosystems. And I mean, other people have success with it, but I would say largely I do not. It has helped. I mean, there's been a bump in plays from doing the weird videos, but I mean, there'll be commenters that I see pretty often, and then like, you'll be seeing their name for months, just being like, cool video or whatever. And then they'll go like, when are you going to put this stuff on Spotify? And you're like, you never thought to just check? Like, what were you waiting for to happen? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a wild world.
Melt in the sky and give yourself into a cold July. Sever your ties. Embrace the things you think that you despise. All eyes are wrong, but I hope that I can tell them all. Too late, so long. If you could see what I have seen, everyone would want to be what I believe. So everyone can start to see what I have seen, and everyone would want to be what I believe.
We've asked this question before with other bands and gotten. I imagine we would get a different answer from you with this question.
Don't
The
tell me what they
extent-
say. Don't tell me what they say. I'll see if I do it.
Yeah. So like the extent to which you invest in getting listenership, et cetera, for your music, through like digital pursuits versus like investing more of the time and energy on, the local scene and playing local shows. Different bands have different ways that they count. Like obviously most bands will do some element of both, but I guess I'm curious, you've invested a bit and like have thought through some of the strategies for social media stuff, but like what do you think the balance could or should be?
I really feel like it is an unfortunate truth that there can be no balance, and you just have to go as hard as you possibly can on everything you possibly can. And I do see it a lot, right? I follow these subreddits and Facebook groups, and I'm sure a lot of indie bands do, where you're just trying any scrap of information that seems helpful, and you'll see someone post like, hey, forget about social media, it's all about live shows, that's where it's at. And then you kind of go look at them, and maybe they're like a folk band that plays 3-hour sets at wineries, right? And it's like, well, okay, sure, that might work for you. Or I think a music career can be a thing of just step by step, but then hopefully, and you get to skip a couple steps for some reason, a lucky thing, how a video goes viral or whatever. And then at that point, maybe you put a little more into that, right? Like that part is working, so you push on that a little more. But like until you know what's going to work, I mean, because right now we're touring, we're playing local shows, I'm making these videos, and I see people balk at social media all the time, which is interesting because I think it is oftentimes older people that do it because we didn't have it. And I mean, at 40, I would consider myself kind of an older person playing the type of like rock or the way we're touring, things like that. But to me, the way that that I see that, I mean, man, hanging up flyers and having no idea how many people saw it, if you put it in the right place. And so to post something and even know that 100 people saw it is cool, and it was free, and it seems useful. I think to not use a tool that's at your disposal is sort of foolish. Try to get good at all of it. And I don't think people will talk like, well, Led Zeppelin didn't have social media. And it's like, yeah, but they had people working for them to do all this stuff. But even you go read like, I just read, blanking on his name right now, the Circle Jerks fella, the front man. And they were playing multiple shows a night, and they would play every day of the week. And you can't do that anymore, right? Like that doesn't work. I think social media has kind of changed that because shows are less of a like discovery tool. You're
Yeah.
going to the show because you already love them, so the social media and that kind of stuff becomes the discovery. I do feel like it's kind of a bummer. It would be fun to play every night. But the point is not that he was playing show. I think people take the wrong lessons from the past. It's not that you should play shows every night. It's that you should, if you want things to succeed, you just have to work incredibly hard. And social media is maybe not like fun, but I do think bands should kind of learn it a little bit and learn what like the best practices are, or not. I'm not saying they should. I think success can be gained from doing that. I mean, you should do it however you want to do it. But if you're gonna get mad about not finding success, but you're also like cutting off these potential tools, that's kind of on you, I guess.
I fully agree with you. Like the idea of using the tools that are at your disposal. We've been thinking a lot about authenticity in music and in what you're doing. And I guess I'm just sort of curious, where do you see authenticity in this whole process in terms of like the art making, like the actual music you're putting out? Because obviously it feels like you have a very multifaceted approach, right? Like you're making music that is, like it's not like you're making parody songs. You're making like legit music, right? Like, and it's good, but you're making genuine music. But then you also have, like the humor and the like the shedding clothes during the live, and then you also have like the humor of like the marketing and the social media pursuits and stuff like that. I guess I'm just sort of curious, like what's your perspective on authenticity? I guess in each of those like buckets, what's your view?
Well, I will say, like, I am just kind of, in some regard, doing whatever I want to do, right? Like, I'm not giving a lot of thought to, like when I'm writing a song, I'm not thinking, does this, like, fit with the overall vibe of what I'm, it's just I'm writing a song. And which is why, I don't really write funny songs, even though that sort of permeates maybe every other aspect of what I do. And that's not to say that funny songs can't be extremely authentic, right? Like I wouldn't say that someone doing a funny songs isn't an authentic thing. As far as like performances, and again, this is fine if this is what you want to do. But like a lot of bands almost use it as like a point of pride that they only think about the music, right? That it doesn't go beyond that at all. And I've asked, and that people will kind of like talk negatively about a band that brings lights or a backdrop even, or, they try to do this like, which I think I do feel like often is an excuse. When people see someone put in more effort, they'll go, actually, we don't do that because it's dumb or whatever. Right. It's like, well, you don't want to do it. But I've asked people, like, okay, if there's a band playing 2 nights, you can only go to one night. It's your favorite band. One night is just a regular, you can go in and watch them. The second night, though, there's a curtain in front of them. You can't see them. And, of course, everybody's like, oh, I want to go where I can see the band, right? So there's an admission by everyone that there is a visual aspect to live performances or to what like a band is. So like I think it's good to put some thought into that, even if it's just we don't look like we just got done cutting grass, or you know what I mean, or like or maybe that's your vibe and maybe that works for what you're doing, but like just some sort of like we're on stage, we should look like we're having fun or not, or we should look like we're the most depressed people all in black or whatever. Just some amount of like thinking about what the visual aspect for this thing should be.
Right.
And yeah, maybe to your point, I think some people almost think that like effort starts to erode authenticity. And I very much dislike that like train of thought. And so like our live shows we don't have like incredibly spectacular, we don't have any stage props or anything, but we do all wear gold pants. I wear very small gold shorts. The band all has their name printed on the front of their shirt. And in my mind, it's just kind of like a little bit more something to look at. I'm climbing poles, I'm doing push-ups, I'm whatever I can do. Just like trying to really have a good time. That to me is like what I want shows to be. I want it to be pretty like high energy for the whole thing. We have slower songs that I kind of feel like for our live show we don't do. It's not what we're doing. Especially, I mean, we're playing like tops 40-minute sets right now, so you don't get a whole lot of like ebb and flow of emotion and vibe and whatever. I don't know if I'm answering your question at all.
No, I think you are.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. This idea of, there's a little bit of like self-handicapping, I think, in the perspective of some people saying like, well, you're only using props because, your music isn't that good, or what, like what that mindset is very defeatist and like very like, well, if we did that, we would be great, but we don't do that because we're, our music speaks for itself. It's like,
yes,
sure, your music might be good, and no one's saying everyone has to like, bring out like a giant eyeball ball that everyone in the crowd like hits around or whatever, like, but those things can be memorable or cool.
If Elliott Smith brought out a 60-foot robot prop, I would have been like, I don't know, man, this doesn't seem right. This seems kind of dumb.
While he's playing like Between the Bars or something,
yeah,
like
right.
some really soulful, sad song or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but like the idea of, like a lot of bands we're talking to are like these, they're like alternative indie rock or whatever. Like you're kind of like what you're talking about, like having a 40-minute set that's not really like, you're not playing like a really slow ballad in the middle of it. Like you're not really doing like a Between the Bars kind of song.
Yeah.
And even if you have that stuff, you're like a lot of bands, I'm sure you're kind of like gravitating more towards like the singles and the things that like will get those new audience members because you're trying to, bend their ear and they're hearing this stuff for the first time. So you're putting that best foot forward.
For sure. Yeah.
So I'm curious though, like authenticity in the realm of like the marketing and the social media stuff you're doing too, given that it's like patently exaggerated and that's like the point. Do you think authenticity has a role at all in like that space, like the like the social media stuff and all of that? Like, is it saying something about your humor or your person? Like what do you think?
Yes, I do. I think the things I am doing are like on brand. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm a big fan of, I love a Cronenberg movie, big fan of body horror movies and horror movies and things like that. We were doing like band photos and not in a weird way, but the photographer suggested something that I thought was like too like sexual for what we do. Again, it wasn't like an insane thing. It was probably a pretty normal thing, but I was like, I'm dressed in tiny gold shorts. So if we do that, it's going to look kind of like this. I'm probably explaining this poorly. Like, I don't really remember even what he said, but it just felt off-brand, right? Like it felt oh, that would be funny. I'm not. It's not like we're some prudish thing, but almost like it would be a hat on a hat, right? Like I'm already dressed like this, so to like go another step with it is like that's just kind of too. Again, not far for art's sake, but like off of our path of what we would do as a band or something. And yeah, I think even though obviously I'm not doing on stage what I'm doing in the videos, I think the type of humor is aligned in a way.
Right.
You got me thinking, man. I'm really, I don't know.
I mean, that's the goal. I like that.
Yeah.
But I think I do get what you mean though. Like the idea of there is always an invisible line with this stuff. And I think like
definitely.
I think it sort of speaks to having I don't know, like a bit of a barometer for yourself that you're able to be like, well, that's just gonna go overboard. Or
I've had, some amount of like mild success with videos I've made and social media that will have people ask me like, what should we do? Or we get to talking about it. And it is like, I don't know, you guys are an Americana band. Nothing I do would like translate to help you. Like you would need to make really slick, edited, like different thing. I don't even have the skills to do what they would need to do. Because if if Elliott Smith had put out a video where he's squirting mustard out of his nipple, I think a lot of people would have gone, dude, this is not right. This is not you. And what's with the robot? I don't understand this.
This does bring me, I think, pretty well though into because I feel like there's a little bit of an undergirding of what you're saying here when you're talking about like the Americana band and how like they have to sort of tailor that to themselves, their own band, their listeners, right? Like there's a little bit of an undergirding of music says something about who we are in some way or another, right? I guess I'm curious, do you kind of buy into that philosophy? Like, do you agree with that? And like what you think an individual who likes your music, like what do you think that might communicate about them, or would you hope? Hope it says it with them?
I agree with you fully that just singularly music says a lot about. It's a part of our like who we are, right? But you have different versions of you as well. The person that likes post-punk is the same guy that likes 90s country, and sometimes you project different things of that, and sometimes you mix them all together. And I will say that I do think there are people who might get into my music that then see the videos and go, well, this is not for me. or vice versa, right? That see a video and think this dude's music must be nuts. And then hear the music and go, this is fairly standard rock music, I am absolutely not answering your question this time. I'm just going, I got a different thing I want to say. But I think a lot of us, and even new bands, are still stuck in that like record label mindset, right? That you have to get as many fans as you can. And I feel pretty strongly that the smarter thing to do right now is to get like diehard fans. Because I think it's certainly a smaller number, but I think there are other people who will love this exact mashup of weirdness with rock hooks, and so maybe I'll lose the people that don't like the weird videos, but I'm gonna have like a stronger core like fan base ultimately. And I think by being authentic to yourself all the time, you're more likely to find those people that will like be like diehard fans. And so, what were you saying though?
I was just gonna say, so what I'm hearing is that Josh should let me incorporate more of my immature bathroom humor into our band stuff so that we can get more diehard fans.
Julie, did I say all that right? Because in the email you sent, get Josh to let me do more bathroom. And did that pretty much hit all of that, or?
No.
Sorry. Well, I'll try to work it in.
So like, sorry, Josh, I'm like taking over now, but like,
no, go for it.
Besides your community of people telling you to kill yourself online,
how do you
my
feel, fans, yes.
How do you feel like what do you feel like the relationship between music and building community is? Like, what role do you think that like music has in building community, and like, do you have any sort of like audience interactions that like stick out as being particularly meaningful to you, except, aside from, the wish to have somebody ask you if you're going to do the mustard thing?
So, I mean, obviously, right? Like, so many relationships in your life are built around music, and boy, I really like music. Do you ever think of it? You ever like have a really dumb thought like that where you're like, man,
I have so many dumb thoughts.
Music is awesome. I love music. I feel that So weirdly, right? Like most of my audience comes from the videos first a lot of the time. If it's not like a larger percentage, like I'm not getting a lot of messages of people saying like your song changed my life. I'm getting messages that are do your nipples really look like that? And like and people being very, very nice about the videos. And I tell you that does send me off into some weird like, what am I doing? Like, because the videos are mainly to promote the music, or that was the kind of initial intent. And then when people are liking the videos more, and you're thinking about your social media strategy and all this, and then you're like, wait a second, am I a musician or am I a guy that writes soundtracks for nipple videos? But yeah, I mean, I guess, right? Maybe it's not so specific. Maybe you're always creating community around art, and you know, I think comedy is art. I think very highly of comedy, and I really do. I think about comedy a lot and like what's funny and why it's funny, and you know, obviously, I think you can make really prescient. Is that the word I want? Sometimes it's easier to
find out.
Let's look it up. Hold on. Let's just do. We got time.
I mean, it's like forecasting, right? You're like thinking ahead, like predicting or something.
Ability to know, or so you're scrolling. I'll use it. I'll say it. You can make really prescient points with comedy, maybe more impactfully than you can with like being very serious, right, or whatever. A new thing I've seen online that is really annoying to me is there'll be like I recently clicked on some like Marvel thing or whatever, so now that's all I see, right? And so I get these like quote fan pages, but they post things that have no point or perspective, right? And it's not like they're saying, what did you guys think of the new Iron Man movie? That's fine. Like, encouraging discussion I have no issue with. But they post something with like an error, right? Like they call Iron Man Steel Man or something. or they'll say something incendiary, and you can like go through their posts and see that they'll just switch back and forth between like what it looks like their perspective is, or they'll just say something that like kind of knifes it down the middle, so both sides of the Marvel fandom are going, yeah, man, you're right, but they're both saying it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's
I've seen just stuff just like that, and it's all about getting, if you like do Steel Man, it's because they want people to comment and be like, "Oh, you're stupid. You meant Iron Man."
Yes.
And then it's like you're giving them what they want.
Absolutely. And then you get the guy or woman who's like one step further, where they go, guys, they know that. They're just trying to get engagement. And you're like, no, but you can't comment that. You're doing it too. I'm doing it just by looking at it.
Yeah. I know. They got us all. They got us all by the balls.
It's awful. It's I hate it. And again, and I'm saying, like, I really, like, if there was like a comic, but I don't really care that much. But like, if it was a page that was just like, what did everyone think of the new movie? Like, that's not the problem. It's this like,
oh yeah,
that it's a trick. It's like a skill, right? They're getting like, people are getting better at it. Of just this, like, I just need to generate views. It doesn't matter like what I'm saying or anything. It's gross. It grossed me out, man.
Yeah, it's about attention grabbing, not about the content.
Yeah, like if we made a post, right, and we did like, I don't know, like let's say we did a cover of Obladi Oblada, right, and then we're like, you know, oh, here's this song we're doing a cover of Obladi Oblada by, you know, the Great Bugs, you know,
right,
you're gonna get a zillion people being like, oh, you stupid ass.
But you know what?
Beatles, right?
I would even say with that, like, at least that's art you made that you're trying to get views on, right?
Yeah.
Which does still kind of suck, right? To like intentionally do that, but they're not. There's nothing that they're creating or putting out or like clickbait you're still there's still a video that exists, at the end of that. Like I would imagine these pages, like whatever Marvel Fandom United, just like shut down all the time, or they have 60 of them going that AI is making.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's authentic.
Agreed, man.
Okay,
Agreed.
all
Yeah.
right. Finally, we can agree.
We found some consensus
Common
here.
ground.
I like how you got it all back together.
Yeah.
Because you were able to loop it all back. We're going to keep all of that in.
You have to. It won't make any sense.
No.
Oh, Matt, what do you most look... I almost had it on.
Yeah.
So, Matt, what are you most excited about for the future of the band?
Yeah.
So, Matt, what are you most excited about for the band's future?
I don't know. I think we'll just keep going, keep coming up with ideas. I do think we have a good we record our own stuff. Matthew Sawicki, he mixes it and everything, but we record a lot on our own. We kind of do our own videos right now. We screen print, so we're making our own merch. We can make new things quick. I just want to keep trying new stuff and doing more of the same stuff, and go where the wind takes us. Just keep going, keep playing, keep writing. Be open to the next big idea when it comes along.
And are you currently like writing anything new? Like I saw your most recent release was a single, right? Like Sorry Weird is that what it's called?
It's been a minute since we put anything out, but I am currently, me and Jen, front person for Middle Class Fashion, plays keyboards in the band. Like we're both, and Brad's doing it too, but he doesn't really release music all that much, guitar player. Anyway, but we're trying to write a song a week, and that's those are going on Patreon. Our van just got stolen.
What?
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot. So we went off the road. You can probably get a better version of all this on the Instagram and stuff because we've been talking about it we went off the road really far. We hit there was like an ice situation that like happened very quickly. We weren't expecting any bad weather. We went way off the highway, called AAA. Guys come out. They can't get us. We're too far away. They have to bring a different truck. And then they tell us, hey, you're further than 25 feet, so AAA won't cover it. It's going to be at least $1,000.
What?
So we're down in this ditch for 8 hours after a show. We get pulled out. It was $2,000. And then a week later, the van gets stolen. The van that went in the hole, which luckily wasn't damaged or anything. And then we find the van. It's all messed up. But what I'm trying to say is that we've been a little preoccupied with some non-artistic endeavors. But I think we're made whole, I think, at this point. The thieves wrote on our dashboard, fuck life, ride fast, die last. And we did make that into a t-shirt that you can buy on our store if you wanna help us out.
I like that.
So yeah, no, I kind of just saying that to say like, yeah, I feel very far away from creating, and I think we're finally like chilled out in a way that we can get back to it. Like I said, I'm trying to write a song a week, and I have not in the last 2 weeks, because there's just been talking to insurance and talking to the police and talking to the band and whatever.
Wow. Yeah, sorry that happened. That sucks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I put everything on the store on sale.
Okay.
Everything's like 20% off. I felt like that was a better.
Fair.
We found the van within like 3 days. We just driving down the street saying there's white vans everywhere. How are we ever gonna find it? And that's it. That's the van. Which it had mud on the back from the ditch we went into. So maybe the ditch was meant to be. It's how we found it.
Punk rock.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh man, I'll hit I'll hit the stop button in a second, but
You want to do it for real now?
yeah, now let's do it all again. Run it back
Yeah.
one more time with feeling. But I just want to, thank you very much, Matt, for taking the time
Oh
to talk
yeah,
to us.
this was super fun. Thank you.
Hey, Julia. So we just had the conversation with Matt. What did you think?
I was not expecting. I mean, this was like this conversation mentioned nipples more than any conversation that I ever expected to have. It was really funny. It was great. This bottle was full at the beginning. And, I had a lot of fun. Matt's really great. I hope we get a chance to play with him, and I hope he convinces you to let me bring some of my unconventional humor in some future evil things.
Wow. I'm just imagining like someone's listening to this on their like morning commute to work, and they're just
Newsflash, no one's gonna be listening to this on their morning commute to work.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Oh man. Well,
I mean, I feel like that's a great take. You should leave all of that in.
I will. I will.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. It was a really fun conversation that featured the word nipples far more than I expected, but in a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way. Yeah, super super funny guy. Also had some thoughtful answers. Like you could tell, like
Mhm.
he's clever. And also, yeah, I really like his songs. Like, I mean, as funny as he is, and as like charmingly weird as his presence online is, he makes legit music, and it's cool. And like
Mhm.
their band is clearly talented, and he's being authentically himself, but also making cool music. Like talented musicians have different approaches and different ways of thinking and doing things, which is just cool to see. So I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
I agree. And yes, I will second that it was like funny, but there was also just like, yeah, parts where I was just like, yeah, man, you got that like you just like, hit the nail on the head about like a lot of things. So it was yeah, it was great. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for watching and listening. Hopefully, laughing along with us. If you made it this far, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help us out, and we have plenty more episodes. If you missed any, if you want to, go back and see them. If you were offended at all by the usage of the word nipples, we apologize. I know we said that word quite a lot in this last hour, but thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye bye.